Okay, let's do this.
This is so nice.
This is so cozy.
Oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, nice.
What are we doing?
I thought we could do some more questions in review.
Mm-hmm.
So more questions to do a year in review.
Yeah.
With a different setup, with a different theme. Deep got me a wonderful, not just me, us, a wonderful birthday gift, which is matching sweaters. Binda is also
Not just the two of us, but also her.
the three of us got matching sweaters, and now we look like we're
Full Christmas vibes.
just.
Gandhi looks so good.
It does, and she and I have exact same print also.
But I love that she has a little turtleneck.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We
Yeah,
have
turtleneck
turtleneck.
looks really classy.
Yeah.
How did you decide to get us these sweaters?
I really wanted to get this, and like it was a very good timing for this around your birthday. So yeah. But these are the ones I finally went for.
Good choice, baby.
Yes. Yours is a gingerbread Christmas sweater.
Oh,
Yours are lilies. Mine has trees because this one's not there.
yeah.
Okay.
So my question to you is, what did you do this year that you would say was more year defining for you? That you'll always remember that this is something you did or you started doing
Mm-hmm.
in 2025.
What?
You need to arrive at it.
You know it already.
I know it already.
What is this? How can you already know my answers before? Like I have to think, but you somehow know instantly.
I think about you a lot.
I don't have a good answer. Tell me. That's the perfect answer. Yes. The thing I started this year, that we started together this year, was that we learned how to swim. And something we never knew how to do, didn't learn as children. And something that is very, very essential to living in Netherlands. It's almost like something you study in school. People here actually have diplomas that they've done growing up in school. And the big reason is there's so many canals. There's water everywhere in this country. And in fact, much of the country is under sea level. So there could always be an emergency that requires you to be able to swim, right? So you don't fall into an accident. And it unlocks so much, right? It's a life skill that one should know how to swim. And then once you can swim, you can just do so much more. Explore beaches and deep sea diving and snorkeling, and you just feel a lot more confident doing
in water.
kayaking,
Yep.
speedboat, whatever, right? That you can survive. Knowing that is a big one for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started in I think March this year. We've invested behind this. Lot of
180
money.
to
Classes
200
are
hours,
expensive, but the coaches we have are amazing.
Yeah, I'm
And
so
it's-
grateful to.
I think that's a big difference
It's a
maker.
huge difference.
That we learn from great coaches.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to the company that we learned from,
Yeah.
Aqua Hero, and the main teacher was Ronan. But he was our beginner teacher, and then now we have a new trainer. His name is David, and he's so patient.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Ronan was so clear on methodologies to get over
Yeah.
fear of water and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So if you
And
live
now
in-
we can basically swim a bit, right? We're not good at it, but we can swim. Like put us in a pool and we can do laps.
which is what we
That's
did yesterday.
crazy.
We are currently
We
on
did
a holiday
laps.
somewhere for the birthday weekend, and we went to the indoor swimming pool here, and we had more to do than be in water and
Yeah.
we could actually
could
swim,
swim.
which is not what we could do.
But we're still aware that we have a long way to
we do
go.
have a long way to go.
To be able to swim smoothly
Yeah.
and effortlessly and in different kinds of circumstances, but that's what we're learning,
Yeah.
and we continue to do our classes.
I love being in the water. And for me, it's like every session I feel that there's an absolute progression I made in terms of something. For example, in some classes I might do water treading better, so like I can be in deep water while staying afloat. and that technique is called water treading. So I feel like I'm developing that in every class. The last 2 classes have been pretty historical for me because I did something that I just developed irrational fear towards, and that was jumping in the water. I refused to jump into the water, and I tried to do it the hard way, which was that I wanted to get more confident water treading so that if I were to jump in water, I could survive. Even though that was never the point. The point was always to jump in water to figure out that you will not sink. You will just come up, and you have to experience that. But I refused to do it, and the day I felt more confident about water treading is the day I thought I will do jumping, but instead of jumping, I actually skipped that and straightway went for the dive. And I dived for the first time. That was just such a cool experience. I couldn't believe I was capable of doing that. Like, I could do it. All I had to take was mental strength to say I'm going to dive, and then I did. That was cool. And then the last class I did back jumping, where you don't look into the water.
So
the idea is
like
that if you fall into a canal, what do you do? That sort of a thing. Every class I feel like I've leveled up a little bit, and if there's a class where I don't feel that way, I come back a little upset. I didn't feel like I could do new things today.
Next one, I have a nice one for you. What are you most proud of that you did this year?
I mean, you know it. Again, I think recency bias, but I never ran in my life before, and like 2 months ago, I decided that I want to start training for 5K. And I want to run 5K on my birthday. And I ran 5K on 21st of November 2025. And that was a huge moment for me.
2 months of training.
2 months of training.
And I loved how you progressed every day. And we were there to celebrate those little wins also. It wasn't just about the big one, the D-Day, right? It was every day you come back with little progress or little side step sometimes, and figuring out like your technique, your where to run, what to wear, how to deal with winter, how to deal with rain. And there were so many, let's say, obstacles or question marks. I think you could have easily just taken some excuses and stepped out of it, but you kept going. So I'm even more proud of you for doing this. That it's so amazing that you did it.
Thanks for saying that. For me, it was that I used an app called 0 to 5K, and it had a clear training program that you have to run 3 days a week for 8 weeks. So it takes 24 runs to get to run your 5K. But here's the trick. What you end up doing is increasing your stamina to run at a time. So you start your day with, first day with 1 minute of run, 1 minute of walk, 1 minute of run, 1.5 minutes of walk, stuff like that. And then you regularly progress and increase that 1 minute to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at a time, that you're running these many minutes without a break. And every time like that time increased, I would come back home and I would tell Deep and celebrate with him, I can't believe I ran 15 minutes today. And he'd be like, what? That's so cool. That's so cool. And like that was also such a cool thing for me to live through, to share my milestones with you. And also I would also tell her on the phone. So she's also like my cheer on companion.
Tell me about that last one, because your app was sort of set up for 30 minutes-ish, right? But you had to go longer than the app actually had, because you weren't at the day yet. You did it earlier than, let's say, the plan was.
So that's
how was that last one?
The app believes that if you run 35 minutes without a break, you can finish run 5K. But 2 days before my D-Day, I was at 25 minutes run, and I realized I was running 3 kilometers at 200 meters. And that was far away from 5K. And then on the day of run on Friday, I was supposed to run 35 minutes. At 35 minutes, I was 4 kilometers and 200 meters in. I still had 800 meters to go. So I pushed
2 full laps.
2 full laps.
Of the track.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm not even halfway through. I have to just keep going, keep going, keep going.
I mean, at that point, it must have seemed quite daunting, right?
Yeah.
You have to do 2 full laps and like your timer has run out.
Exactly.
And like those encouraging words also go away, right?
Yeah,
in your ear.
And in that
now
app,
it's only you.
Exactly. And in that app, because it's a 35-minute run, at the halfway point, it says that you're halfway through. And I was telling myself, I'm not halfway through. We're like third way through. Please
Yeah.
don't
I
listen
wonder
to
if
this.
that
words.
audio was actually more
Helpful or
demotivating.
demotivating,
Yeah.
because it was not 35 minutes for me. I finished my first 5K in 42 minutes, and then I spoke to my brother who used to run a lot. I think he's done half marathon or something. He used to run a lot.
Mhm.
So he was telling me that like the next thing to do should be to like reduce that time purely for that sense of progress, which I was telling
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed from the whole concept of running. You get the point.
Yeah.
Proud of having run 5K.
And tell me, was the fact that we are watching Physical Asia in parallel is a fantastic Netflix show of some superhuman people, if you ask me, really pushing themselves to their limits. Did that have any role to play in your 5K?
Yes, thank you for asking me that wonderful question, because it totally did. We were watching Physical Asia and my absolute favorite team was Team Australia. There were some phrases that I picked up from this episode.
Yeah. Just motivation.
And I was seriously telling myself
Aussie
that
things.
I can do this all day.
Yeah.
I want to do this all day. I live here.
Yeah.
I live here.
Dark places. Dark places.
Go to dark places. I was literally telling myself that this is
And was
something.
it in Eddie's voice?
For me, it was two people. One was the captain,
Yeah.
and then the other was that
The
woman.
Eminem who was hanging from the rope.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was so badass in that
Yeah.
specific competition. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was in their voices that I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eddie is so cool.
Mm.
All of them are.
Yeah.
I love Physical Asia, and I can't wait for Physical Europe. The other day we
What
were
a
discussing
cool
that if there was a
episode.
Physical Europe, then which country is like sweeping it away? And I was like, Netherlands is going to be a pretty crazy favorites to win. But Deep actually had another point. What
Yeah,
was yours?
I said, like, generally, if you. So, Netherlands is, of course, up there, right? When it comes to also Olympics, and I feel like they have that stature. But this also requires a lot of like brute strength, right? And I personally haven't seen many heavyweights from Netherlands.
Hmm.
So I felt that UK and France also tend to do really well with Olympic sports and sports in general. And they have they are bigger countries, so they have all sorts
variety.
of sports people, right? So I felt UK would be pretty good
Yeah.
and France would be pretty good. So I would love to watch a Physical Europe.
I actually googled if there's a Physical Europe in the works, and
Yeah.
guess which one is?
You said
Physical Italy. Physical.
that'll be fun.
You wanna come? Wanna come here, my beta? Oh, Bablu. Oh, Bablu girl. We're in matching sweaters.
Oh, you guys look so fun.
Matching sweater, baby. You can ask me the next question. I have the question to ask you.
Yeah, it's your turn.
What is that one thing that you wanted to do this year, but you couldn't, and now you want to do it the next year? Is there any such thing that you set out to think that I want to accomplish it this year, but well, I will actually do it next year?
I actually wanted to get back into driving. I used to drive a bit in India, but I never enjoyed it, and I basically didn't drive much at all. But since I've been in Netherlands, I've not driven. So it's basically last 4 or 5 years I've not driven a car.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to get back into, and for that I might have to do a small course, which is like a refresher, and I've been just procrastinating to death, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a to-do, but it's not massively urgent, so I never get around to doing it because like everything else's life is so busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a to-do for me. Also have to learn a bit of Dutch because we have to give our exams this year
Yeah.
for integration before we can hopefully get to our permanent residence.
Yeah.
So that's a to-do. So those two things I want to do
Okay.
for next year. But maybe a different take which is not my controllable.
Yeah.
I would love to celebrate Arsenal winning a title. Hopefully after, what is it, like 22 years now?
Wow.
Last title we won was 2004. So it's been 21 years
Oh boy.
since we won the Premier League. So I'm really, really hopeful that this is finally the year. We've been so close
Yeah.
last 3 years, and I'm really just hoping for the next 8-9 months we get through it and we
Yeah.
finally win the trophy that we've, I think, deserved to win, but not one end still over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this might be the year. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being in London in May,
Yeah.
getting to see the team with. That would be amazing.
Yes, putting it out there,
Yes,
there.
please.
Nice.
Let me ask you the next one.
Yeah.
What's your most memorable date of the year? Could be dinner, could be a sort of day outing, could be an activity, something we did together. Favorite day of the year?
2 dates come to mind.
Can't decide.
Shoni, choti, Shoni, chota, nannu, pablu, nanna parinda, nanna parinda.
Okay, tell. Do tell.
Do tell. Well, the date that comes to mind is, of course, 21st of August 2025. The date when we drove to Vancouver to pick up Bindi and bring her home.
Oh,
was-
you can't use that.
That was life changing.
Then there is no competition for any dates. But yeah, that was the most special day of the
That
year.
was life changing.
Yeah.
But the other date that comes to mind. I don't remember the date, but think about that day when we were in Switzerland in April. We were in this place called Wengen. We were taking a train to go to Wengen. And that train goes like that, right? And we were looking at the mountain on the opposite side. And we were saying, wow, imagine if we could go to that mountain. And then we saw that there was a cable car that was going on to that mountain. That mountain was for a place called Muren. And so basically we went to Wengen, we came down, then we went to Muren all the way up, and it was this magic land. We had the most freshest possible milk.
Oh, yes. Straight. Like the cows were right there.
Yeah, the cows were right there grazing, and then they of course sell those milk, and they sell those in those shops where you have a recommended amount and you just leave it. If you don't, nobody's checking, but that's the whole point. You honor the system.
This works only because people
Only because people honor it.
Otherwise
So,
it stops.
so you get that milk, and so we had that extremely sweet, delicious milk.
Yeah. And some
Wow.
people even had that vending machine with like little bottles, and
Yes.
you would insert a €1 coin and then
Yeah.
it comes out.
And that whole train journey all the way to the top of blue. Nana chota. Yes, Nan. You go back?
She just wants somehow to have both of us
Yeah.
equally. But that settles it. That there is no. She doesn't have a favorite.
She doesn't. I
She wants to
believe
go with
she does
both
not
of
have a
us.
favorite.
Equally.
I have a favorite. Bindi is my favorite out of Bindi.
Out of Bindi.
1 out of 1. Although we were in Switzerland for 5 days, that one day had lots of experiences jam packed. So it was a really great day of the trip for me.
Yeah,
Switzerland was so nice. What did you think of your Switzerland trip?
Oh, it was beautiful. Switzerland is just incredibly beautiful. For me, the biggest thing was the quality of infrastructure given the heights and the altitude, and like you could go and visit like 3 mountains in one day. Like go
Very
up a
important.
mountain with a train, come down with a cable car, then go up another mountain. It is extremely expensive. It is like ow. Maybe. What do
It's
you
as expensive as it gets.
Yeah, it's quite expensive. Meals and travel, everything is expensive. But then you're also getting the kind of infrastructure that does not exist anywhere in the world. So I would say it's expensive, but it's good. It's
Totally
very high
worth
quality.
it.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
So Switzerland is full of Indian tourists, is from what I've heard, because of the movie and Bollywood connections.
Just great,
So
right? Like,
lots of Indian
it
restaurants.
feels so nice to see so many
Not that
Indian
we
people around. Like, it's
went to any, but
Yeah,
there
we
were
went
a lot
to
of Indian
Indian
restaurants.
restaurants. If you want to have chai, an Indian restaurant is always there around. Unless you're doing Wagh Bakri premix. Wagh Bakri chai premix is pretty OP. Like, it's sweet chai, but like it does the work. It's chai. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you find it too sweet, then you maybe add a little bit more milk. we went to that holiday with my mom, my elder brother, my sister-in-law, and our niece Samaira. So that was a really nice holiday. Pretty special one too. I feel like if you do holiday trips with your family after a certain age, like it's such a privilege. Because as children, of course, you travel with family, but as you start to grow up, managing everybody's timetables, ensuring that we're all in sync about the location and the dates. It's so hard to do, the kind of accommodation you want to choose and blah blah blah. It's difficult to coordinate. It's quite nice if we were able to do it.
And then you do all your nostalgia things somehow. Like when you're with family, you want to go back into the 2000s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do like tech stuff, new age stuff, right? You're doing all, okay, let's play Tamsha. Okay, so those are your favorite dates.
Yeah, okay. So my question to you, the question is, how did we grow together this year?
I think, personally, from a relationship standpoint, I think this was one of the most meaningful years of our time spent together. Like, I wouldn't say purely from any milestones per se, although we did complete 10 years. Oh, actually, we did complete 10 years this year. So
We completed 10 years of being together.
So, yeah, it was a big year to begin with. But I feel like we've had such good discussions this year in terms of what we expect from each other, what we do and what we don't do. And I have to thank you for all the constructive feedback you've given to me through the year that really helps me
Which one?
like improve, right? Whether it's about the time we spend together, and I know how important time and attention is for you, right? And I think if you have that, like, that's a great place to start, right? And sometimes life can just pass you by, right? You're going through the motions, it's a busy week of work, then the weekend comes and you just chill and not do anything and rinse and repeat, right? Just the fact that it sounds very simple, that your ask that I take an equal interest in planning things for the weekend was a big one for me to work upon, right? And one might think that, okay, you can always plan something for the weekend, right? It comes more naturally to you, but then it needs to be something that you both do. You shouldn't get the feeling that it's always you who has to plan the weekend, right? The other person just gets to come and enjoy. So I felt that was a great one, and this year I've been very proactively thinking about, okay, what do we do on weekends? Because it's not just about the activity, but it's also about the time and attention, because you have the other person fully. And when you're doing something together, you do something, right? You don't think about other things. So I think that was a great one for me to come along. Us becoming pet parents together, just going through this whole thing has been a big one. Us constantly discussing whether we want to have kids or not is a big one, and we continue to figure that out, right? Where we don't have a decision yet, but we talk about it, and we talk things to death almost, but that's what's needed. I think that's what makes us strong. And yeah, I think we should really cherish the fact that we both talk a lot before coming to a decision.
Yeah, discuss everything a lot.
Yeah.
Small things to big things.
Yeah.
Even the accommodation for the birthday weekend.
Yeah,
Like,
sometimes we even
so-
discuss smaller things too much, and then one of us is like, take a call.
Yeah, just bloody take.
Yeah, don't discuss with me. But yeah, some things that need discussion. We discussed for maybe about 4 or 5 months what kind of dog we need to get.
Oh my god, that was a very, very
We
good big
went
discussion.
back and forth between should we get
Started
a
with
stab eye. It's
yeah.
let's say started many years ago with a golden retriever.
Yeah, but like this year it started in May with Parisian Stabai,
Yeah.
which is a Dutch dog breed.
Yeah.
Moved on to Golden Retriever, to Bernese, to Bernedoodle, to
Golden Doodle to Labradoodle.
do something. Okay, close your eyes and imagine what's the kind of, like, if you had to do what the perfect dog would be like for you. Let me tell you that that's what Bindi is. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying because she is in our life or anything
No,
like that.
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
trying to be like, oh, be happy with what you have. No. Like, if I were to tell you specific things that I wanted in a puppy, if I were to like give you specific things, that's what she is. And I feel like That's what visualization, manifestation it
Really?
actually
My
does.
God.
It's important that
So
we speak
good.
it out,
Yeah.
put it out into the
Yeah,
world.
to think about, you deeply wanted a golden retriever, and then when we did all the research, we understood what it needs to raise a golden
A large
retriever in
dog.
the right way.
Yeah.
Which is that they're a large dog, hyperactive, they need to be running around, they need to have access to playgrounds and rivers and mud, and they're like foresty kind of dogs. And we simply couldn't offer that lifestyle, which is when we said, oh, let's consider a golden doodle,
A
because
smaller dog. So if
a
it's smaller,
doodle or a poodle adds the qualities that make a dog smarter, it reduces their activity needs, makes them more apartment friendly. So we decided, okay, let's get a golden doodle.
yeah, it'd be a smaller dog. I was not very happy with that idea in the sense that I knew that a doodle would mean constant grooming, and any form of subscription model I'm not a big fan of. Like,
So you felt it was a bit high maintenance.
yeah, I was like, are you
And also
kidding
the
me?
looks, right? You
Yeah.
are not a very big fan of the poodle look where they have hair all over their face.
Around
and
their
this big
eyes,
mustache.
so they have like that teddy bear look, but you
Yeah.
can't really see their eyes clearly.
Extremely cute, but for you, eyes are
Yeah, that
a big
those.
thing.
I wanted to see those eyes clearly.
Yeah. And then came this litter.
Oh my god,
My
you have
God.
to see Bindi's siblings. No two siblings, number one, look alike. Mother is a pure golden retriever, so they're all golden retrievers, but the father is a golden doodle. So she's an F1B mixed breed. And her siblings have like full golden doodle features also.
Yeah.
Some of them are more.
It's a spectrum.
It's a full
Yeah.
spectrum. And
she's the most golden out of that.
a
litter.
small golden,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and when I went, Asmi was in India, and
Yeah.
I went to see the litter, and for me it was the obvious choice almost, because
Really?
like it really spoke. She really spoke to me, given that I knew what's important to you, and me being there, it was more important to look at her activity
Yeah.
levels and how she's
Is she
engaging,
playful?
how she playing with others, how she playing with me, and she really stood out in that sense that she looked the most golden. Like you couldn't look at that puppy and say that it's a golden doodle. You would just say it's a golden retriever or it's a Labrador, because puppies they look quite similar, right? Yeah, and as she's growing up, you really cannot tell that she's not a golden retriever.
Yeah.
And we got exactly what you would have, let's say, described.
Yeah, if I
right?
were to like put characteristics to it,
Yeah.
like a calm dog, a very loving dog, not too large for an apartment living, hopefully no regular grooming needs. She doesn't shed. She doesn't really shed in the sense
Yeah.
that you can find one or two hair on my skirt, on my clothes right now. I can't find one. And she had one shedding season where for 2 weeks she was like heavily shedding. Our clothes were full. But regular days when it's not shedding season, she doesn't shed. Not that it would have been a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Just I'm letting
Yeah, but
you
that's
know,
also
to tell you.
a feature you get in a golden doodle is that they don't shed as much as pure golden. So it's like the balance just works out perfectly, that we got the no shedding, but we didn't get the heavy grooming.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you be so
How
perfect?
can you be? How
Oh,
can
boy.
you be like how you are? And we're of course talking her up. Like if you were to like critically analyze Bindi, we could like give you more balanced opinion on her. But right now we're biased, pet parents. So
Yeah. What was the question? Okay, I think this is a good note to
how did
close
we
on.
grow together this year? Was the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, we grow. That's how we grew.
Yeah.
Yes, we grew literally from 2 to 3. Maybe you also want to share a bit on how did the two of us grew together this year. Yeah.
So I feel 24 hours in a day, 8 hours is sleeping.
Math.
And 8 hours we're chilling, right? Personal life together, which is most of what you covered. The 8 hours of the career life, the work
Oh,
life.
I thought you were going to talk about the 8 hours of sleep.
No, sleep is perfect. Sleep is
This is good.
untouchable
Okay.
topic. Let's not even. Sleep is great. More sleep, please. I feel like all these years, in terms of career also, we've like discussed career life so much. Like I know so much about your work. I like to be involved, and you also like to share these things, which is great. But I ask you a lot of questions, and we discuss the projects you're working on, people you're working with, their dynamic with you, and stuff like that. And I feel like when you grow in your career, and we should acknowledge that you got promoted this year. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You can win.
You can win.
It's like the Michael Scott movie.
So that's growth, right? For me, conventionally speaking, the careers aspect was very different. I left my job that I was working at, and for some months now, I have not been working in a traditional job. And my career move at this point may seem extremely ambiguous. And at this point, I am reconsidering everything I've done in my career to like start afresh. And that sounds like a very risky thing to do from a partner point of view. But Deep has been so extremely supportive and extremely like, just what do you need from me? Like, do whatever you want. Let me know how can I support and help. That is great. Like that I cannot thank you enough for that. My growth has not been like this. But yours has been. And when that happens in any aspect of your life, does not have to be career, I feel like then the growth mismatches. And then you're not really growing together, even if you are. So like if the two of us are in corporate careers but like doing completely different things, it's still growing. And it's still growth together. Yeah. But I felt like this year for me, so far, year's not over yet, that the growth has been a little self-reflective and questions rather than answers and output. But point is that in that aspect, I felt like the growth was not really happening. And it matters. Right? Like in terms of personal life, I feel like we did grow a lot just on the basis of our conversations and stuff. But there are other aspects where I think there is some lacking happening right now, something lacking and something.
But that's what you're working towards, right?
Sure, always working towards it.
What you're going after is hard. It's because a corporate career you develop over time, right? You gradually grow every year, bit by bit by bit by bit. You skill up, you do it. But when you want to do something entrepreneurial, right? There's so many ambiguities you have to figure out, so many skills you need to learn. You're all alone, right? There is no support structure around you. And it's also your working style that you do things alone. You do it by yourself. You don't involve many people. You don't lean on others. You don't, let's say, rely on somebody else to help you out. You do it yourself. And that means you have to learn a lot. You have to go through so much self-doubt and questioning what's right, what's wrong. And you have to just take so many decisions when it comes to building something of your own. And what makes it worse is you have so many ideas. It's like you would rather be doing 10 things than doing just one thing.
I can't. That's
and so many months of this year have just gone in like which of the 10 to do. And which, if you do one, you feel bad for the other 9. It's like you left some of your kids behind, right? And you can't pick favorites when it comes to kids. But in the end, you can only, let's say, feed one kid. And that's one choice, and you have to pick one at some point.
Yeah, and honestly, the whole running thing actually gave me a lot of inspiration. That all I need to do is get started with one thing, because that will come with a lot of momentum, which will feed into the other things. But I need to get started. So
figuring out
career bit.
Growth
mindset.
Okay.
Okay, that was a good conversation, and I hope to be dressed in sweaters like this again next year and be doing this review again. With more.
How cool!
Maybe with a better setup and
This was so much fun.
Yeah, this is so much fun.
I like talking.
Bye!